This meeting is being recorded.
Welcome everybody to Central Oregon Fly Tyers Guild presentation tonight by Jessie Scott. And Jessie, take it away. Be sure and tell us all about yourself and what this is all about.
Okay, yeah, my name's Jessie Scott. I'm up here in Washington State in Arlington. Retired military, 30 years in and fortunately 40 years out. So it paid off. What I'm going to talk about tonight is a device I invented to allow a person with disabilities where they've only got the use of one arm to tie a fishing fly. And it takes a little more maneuvering, it takes a little more time, but it can be done, believe me. The fly I'll tie tonight is a woolly booger, fairly simple fly, but if you think about it, there's a lot of things where you really need a second hand to do it. For example, gathering marabou, putting a bead on a hook, things like that. So that's why I chose it. I know you're all experienced fly tyers, so you don't really need a lesson on how to tie a woolly booger, but that's what we'll be doing tonight. The device, I say I invented it. I had the concept, made it out of wood. It was a horrible thing. And thanks to gentleman Norm Norlander from Norlander Devices, Dean Childs from Wasatch Fly Tying Tools, both joined forces with me. And so what you see tonight is a culmination of, gee whiz, 4 or 5 different, very important people. It's not all my show. But unfortunately, Norm and Dean are not with us anymore. So I kind of left. I am now the president of a 4-person organization called OPFI. And so I'll start out briefly talking about the Evergreen Hand. The use of conventional fly tying vise, or excuse me, the vise itself. And then there's a plastic or acetal block, which forms the base. You might think of looking at a human body, that might be the shoulder. Connected to the shoulder is a movable rod that will move back and forth. And each of these have thumb wheels where you can adjust the friction, as does the face plate. The rod itself is a little bit longer than what I need, but that's to accommodate something like a regal vise. Or with only one hand, a lot of times, it's kind of hard to pull tinsel off of the spool. So I use this space up here. Periodically, you see me putting tools up there and so on to make it all work. And I'll explain. Well, right here on the front of the block is a magnetic strip. You can't see that, I don't think. An eyelet and a large hole. And I'll work through that as we tie this fly. Then in addition to these 3 major components, basically the shoulder, elbow, and wrists, we've got everything, the palm of the hand, if you will. Now we need fingers. And that's what the next 2, these you can't buy in a normal fly shop. It's an alligator clamp glued into a round plastic dowel with a magnet on the bottom. And guess what? Boom, there's your finger, okay? So that works well for most light gripping. And then for doing things like gathering hair or large bundles of material, what I call a hair grabber, same thing. It's equipped with a magnet on the end. And here's how it works. It's like a safety pin. Hopefully you can see this. See how it opened up. And then I can grab hair, close it again. And then the little rectangular channel here, if I hold the base, I can slide this up, close it down, and bam, I've got that hair locked in. And then it's just a case of putting it up here. Well, this holds it. I can wrap it and tie it on. So that's basically what we're going to be working with tonight. For heavy gripping, I use a pair of, oh boy, where did they go, Rick? Anyway, here it is. A pair of Hakko Pliers, folks. These are made by Mike Barnum down in Medford, Oregon, and they're really great with the pads on them. I did enhance them a wee bit by putting some rubber on the tips of them, but they are really super good for a lot of what I'll be doing tonight, where we need a lot of tension on our material. So let me start off. I'm using a number 6 4 extra long hook tonight. Not that it fits the pattern, but certainly it'll work out for what we're going to be doing tonight. So the first thing is to get the bead onto the hook. I just knew that would happen. Okay, let me recapture this little thing. I wish they made steel beads where I could, I'm gonna get it. I'll tell you what, bead. Okay. I hate these long pauses, you know. Okay.
I can verify that I saw him do it twice before we went on camera.
Yeah, now I've got nerves, so.
Well, we can see how you accomplish that. We can see it over your shoulder there. So is that just a platform?
Yeah. Let's get closer. I'm having trouble finding the spot. I'll be doggone. Okay, let me start over here and see if I can get it, folks. Woo! You still, are you still with me, or did I put
Yep.
you to sleep?
We're with
Okay.
you, Jay.
Beat is unhooked. Praise the Lord. Okay. The next thing, notice it's being held here by that magnetic strip, and I'm going to come up now and grab it with the clamp, and we'll just put it up and put it into the vise. Okay, got it. Here we go. The next thing we'll do is work with the Marabou. And in order to tie the Marabou on, I'm going to, oh, come on, little page image, nice. Sorry about that. We got chitty chatting here before we went live, and I missed it. Okay, hooks on. I'm going to put the, I told you it was a hair grabbing tool, and it is. But after I get my thread started, we'll be using it to work with some Marabou. So I'm going to reach down here and grab my thread. Okay, starting thread. It's a long, springy hook, but I just want to get enough on there to hold that bead out of my way. Because we'll be bringing chenille up to hold it when we have it the fly finished. Okay, that's got it. So I'm not overly concerned about adding the entire hook shank at this point, but I do want to move back to the rear. And get that out of the way. And now we're coming up to the really exciting part. If you thought that getting that bead on there was bad, watch this. Okay, I've got it pretty well padded. And what I'm going to do, I'll do a dry run for you here to show you what, if everything goes right, what it'll look like. I've looped the thread over what I tried to tell you was a tie-in tool, but like most of this stuff, I've got several purposes for it. And at this point, it's considered a tie-in tool, where I will pick up the material, move it out of the way, put it between and trap the material, and then come up, flick the thread off, let it go down and tie it in. So here we go, just plain old Marabou. I need a good, strong device, such as Mike Barnum's Hakko Pliers. And I'm going to grab this feather, bring it up where I can get a really tight grip on it. And once again, the extension here helps me out considerably. So I want to strip off a lot of this fuzz. I'll tell you what, this is a small enough feather. Let me do it this way. Okay, this is how it should have gone. Up like that, strip it back, and remove a lot of this excess material. With that done, all I got to do is with one hand gather this Marabou and make it into a bundle. But first I've got to set my tie-in device. I've got to loop a thread over. Okay, watch this. I'm going to gather the Marabou. I'm going to use these two fingers to grab the stem of the Marabou and then pull it down, trap it with my thumb and middle finger, pull it down slightly and get it sized to approximately the right length, and then up and onto the hook between the up and down portions of the thread onto the hook chain. Now, if you watch really, really close, I'm going to slide that thread over, get this out of the way. Can you see that thread loop still up there? Okay, I'm going to start pulling it down slowly. And hopefully it will be relatively close to the top of the hook itself, okay? I'm going to take one more really, really soft turn and then try to reset and adjust it. You know what? I've got some material trapped. Okay. So I think we've got the Marabou on. I'm going to take a couple more turns here, get it set tight, and lay a base to tie in the chenille. I'm going to cut off the majority of this and just leave the tail on that Marabou. Okay, it looks like we've got enough base laid on there to start working with the chenille. And here's a case where instead of using the really heavy gripping devices, I'll use the alligator clamp. And now you know what this hole is for in the top of the device. That gives me a really really good grip in order to strip this chenille. Man, I'll swear somebody super glued my chenille together. Okay, I'm gonna try the other end here. For some reason, that doesn't want to spread. There we go. There's some exposed thread. So with that exposed thread there, let me get the hair grabber out of the way, and I'll simply bring up the thread. Can you see the white thread they're laying in on our side of the hook shank? And I'm going to come up and get it, tie it in. And then we'll go to the hackle. So I'm going to counter wrap the chenille. So, hello. Guess who didn't see that white thread? Okay, I got it, promise. And now I want to prepare a feather. And once again, I'll take this feather and get all the plume off of it, get it cleared down to a clearer shank. And to do that, once again, I want to get a fairly strong gripping tool, which is the my favorite Hakko Pliers. And I'll go ahead and strip this off just enough that I can get some clear stem. Then while it's still here, I want to come up and grab the tip with the pliers and disengage from the other Hakko pliers. Okay, hopefully get this down where you can see it adjacent to the hook check. I can't see what you're seeing. So
we can see it.
Can you see me?
Yeah, we can see it.
You know, I can't stand to have my goof ups recorded here, folks. You know?
It's
Okay.
too late now. We're recording.
Yeah, it's going down into history. Okay, I'm going to reposition the thread up front, and
Well,
we'll
no
start-
one's seen this or no one's recorded this before, so this is brand new. stuff.
Okay.
We're making history tonight.
You know, this is not the kind of history I want to make.
I've watched some of his other videos.
Yeah, this is the lighting here is so good that I'm just not used to seeing what I'm doing. Okay. Sherry, I'll buy this video back from you if you'll burn it. Okay.
Yeah, these videos are, anybody that wants the video, we can certainly make it available to you. But it'll be posted on our YouTube channel. So
Come on, I was hoping you'd say, well, well, what is this, episode 17?
well, let's see, it's 16, I think. Let me look and see.
Sweet 16, why don't we forget?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, 16.
And I don't want to tell you because you saw it before I did, but that doggone feather came loose again. Let's see. One more time.
We
Mm.
also know that no one has ever tackled this kind of a job, Jesse. This is so new. Nobody's been brave enough to tackle it. Only you.
I'll tell you what, I've got it lashed down now, guarantee. Okay. So the next event is going to be the bringing the chenille up. And like I said, I'm going to take one turn behind the hackle, and then I'll counter wrap it going forward. So start wrapping it in. Notice I'm leaving the the bodkin attached because, you know, if I don't, this is not too bad, but other springy stuff, it'll just unwind. And once you get this fly tied, I'll show you a couple of tricks. One of which is taking a piece of round lead, like the steel headers used to weight their stuff, and sliding it in the thread spool so that it increases the weight of the bobbin. The bobbin's heavy enough tonight that we don't need it, but if you're working with someone and they're having trouble. Now here's something else. All those goofs I made tonight, man, they aren't half bad. I'll tell you what really hurts is when you come up here and snip and you hear that bobbin drop. That wasn't the bobbin. Okay. So
Like that.
that was the bobbin.
That was the bobbin, yes.
That was the bobbin. Yeah, this is getting bad. Even Rick's sitting here chuckling.
Recovery is a skill, though.
Oh, it is, you know?
Yep. Does it even happen with two hands?
Well, what's amazing to me is learning the challenge itself for people that are handicapped.
Oh, for
And
sure.
watching this work is it's just so enlightening on those challenges, because we don't know that because we have two hands and we don't know what this challenge looks or feels like. So this is really
Yeah,
good.
in doing it, you know, well, trying to figure it out, you know, that probably the toughest thing was how in the world am I going to get that hook up into that vise, you know? And I tried all manner of things, and like tonight's demonstration, it didn't always work, but that was the first major milestone. Yeah, something that incredibly simple. Okay, let's see if we can now get our hackle to cooperate. And I started out when we were dry running this, which incidentally we did, believe it or not. You probably wouldn't believe that, having watched me goof this thing up. But I had a regular, you know, everything olive, and Jerry Lorraine said, no, they can't see what's going on. So that's this horrible choice of colors is courtesy of my good friend and incidentally director of our organization. It's his contribution to effort tonight. So
We can,
did-
we can see this clearly.
Can you?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, you folks aren't going to believe it, but I can't see the darn thread. The light is bright enough here that it's shadowing it.
I can turn that to the bottom.
No, that's okay.
Oh.
Oh, Mike, don't groan, sweetheart.
That
Hey,
wasn't the bobbin this time.
Yeah.
Let me show you something. If you were, oh Lord, putting on a really big group of hair up front, here's a way that you can gather it back. Look at this.
Yep.
Hold it back out of the way so I can get in there and whip finish my head. Okay, now, one more thing to go. Whip finish. I imagine most of you are one-handed whip finishers,
Just like that.
doing things like this, I mean, this is child's play, right? Let's show the people how we can do it with a Mattarelli. Miss Mattarelli probably be really proud of this. I'm going to bring the hair grabber up, and I know somewhere in the darkness there's thread going from there forward. So I'm going to come up and grope for it because I can't really say, oh, that's a good sign. There comes the bobbin. So that tells me that, by golly, I think I've got that thread. And here we go with a one-handed Mattarelli. Now that didn't work. Man, there's a lot of breakthroughs tonight, Rick. I've never had this happen before. Okay. Is that thread? Yeah, well, no, I think I know where it is.
I think they call it Zoom fright.
We
Yeah,
got a
it's-
new term now.
Yeah,
Uh,
new technology.
There we go, there we go. I can see some of it. Okay. One turn, two turn, let's
Nice.
do 3 turns. And
The problem is you're using that 60-knot thread.
yeah,
Look at that. Amazing.
okay, so that was a real life Mattarelli whip finish, okay?
One hand.
And that's the fly, okay? Now then, I mentioned this little piece of solder or lead that you can put inside your spool to increase the weight so that your bobbin will pull down and hold if you're working with, really heavy material. And something else, our first whip finishers, or excuse me, our first Evergreen hands did not have the hole in the rectangle. Instead, they had a dowel. In fact, you can see where the 2 screws went in, and they were offset and opposing each other, so that moving this lever, I could force them together and trap stuff. So that's what we were using to trap material. It was a lot more difficult. You couldn't reach down, grab something here, bring it up and put it in the hole and hold it. So that was a change. The reason I'm saying this, if you're working with people that have our tools, you may see the older versions. So that in itself was a major change. The second thing, so that meant that you'd only have 2 tools. You'd have the the alligator clamp. And they also got a device. Here it is. It took me forever to build the darn things. And here's what it did. Remember when we were back there looping the thread over the, oops, bad left hand. Okay. Let me start that thread again. I can see this thread a little bit better now, Rick. I'll just get it started, move it back to about a normal tie-in point. And here's how it worked. It was labor intensive. It used a lot of different material, but it worked. You'd loop the thread up and over. And once again, you've got your open loop. So you'd be up here. And then with this finger, you would flip it loose and let the thread drop down and trap it, as opposed to what you saw this evening, where the truth be known, I did have to do some modification to the hair grabber. Right up here on the top, you can see it's not straight, it's got a little bump in it. And that purpose of that is to hold that thread. So when you bring the Marabou down, you've got to make sure that you're pulling it with this, you're trapping it with this, and you're flicking it off with that. So you got all 5 pinkies working on some of these maneuvers. But does anybody have any questions about that? Stone silence.
I like that tool just for grabbing deer hair bundles.
Okay, guess what we're gonna do next? You read the script, my
Yeah, I've
Lord.
watched your videos a few times, your other videos, and I just got my kit from you like a month ago.
Okay, deer hair, I can hold it with one hand, but if I only got one hand, what comes next? And so that's this little round thing. This is not part of a giveaway. This is kind of a crutch for an almost 90-year-old tonight, okay? So what I'm gonna do is position a hide over this hole so I can press down and stab it. I'm gonna put it in this hole and trap it. And then I'm going to come in with the hair grabbing device.
On the back.
And so here we go. Yeah, we're going to, I'll tell you what, I need some space up here to tie this deer hair in. So let me clean the hook off a little bit. Notice I got the thread out of the way. Okay.
Oop.
Did I hear somebody giggle? Doggone it. Trust me, folks, this is not my first fly.
I got you.
Well,
Like
watching
Bob
you
Ross.
do that more than once is really good, because it's like you're on autopilot. You've done it so many times, and you think, wow,
Yeah. And like any good, yeah,
put it right up there.
I had 30 years of flying for the Air Force, and a lot of that with the autopilot on, and yeah, you can't trust them. The autopilots are almost as unreliable as the co-pilot. Okay, focus your gaze down here. I've got the hair grabber open and armed, so I'm going to come in here and grab the hair and close it. They slide it up and trap the hair.
Just that task. That tool's worth its weight in gold.
This,
That task, yes.
Look at that. Oh, my
Kazam.
gosh.
Ta-da!
ta-da,
It's like a sliding safety pin.
that's, unfortunately, that's just about as all it is, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me get some.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Some of the footage. I almost lost it. I think I can recapture it here.
Yeah.
I thought I had it trapped pretty tight, but maybe not. So let me run through this drill again, folks.
Oop.
Let me file that where it belongs. And we'll
You
go
got me
back.
thinking about this. That might be a good tool for if you're tying with two hands,
Exactly.
because you can
Oh, yeah.
trap the hair.
Yep.
In that tool. Yeah, look at that. I got
Well,
an
I think
idea.
it's pretty cool to have the skin with the hair pinned to the base of your vise.
Exactly.
So you're not fiddling around with that.
Yeah,
It's
Kathy,
interesting.
we're coming up with some ideas based on this because you're always trying to hang on to that doggone hair. And this might be a good way, even if you're using two hands to do stuff.
Yeah, this is coastal deer hair, and it's almost like working with BBs.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Well, yeah, confession is good for the soul. I'll tell you something here in just a minute. Okay. And of course, you can slide your hair back to, adjust the amount of tailing material you want. I'm going to set it slightly toward me and come with a very, very soft turn over it. I think I'm missing something. So just kind of a soft turn over it and pick this up and out of the way. Okay. Would you not tell your friends and neighbors if you tell them that if you saw me using super glue on here? I'm going to put just a little dab on there, try and hold this. Now, here is an alternate means of justifying having this extra tool on the vise. Going back to the pin with a little bit of
A little dabble do.
yeah. This, I've never worked with super glue before, and let me looks like the darn stuff is solidified or something, or maybe it doesn't exist. Jeez. I think my super glue is completely locked out. Okay, forget the super glue. But just a little dab of super glue would really facilitate, getting this hair to go on without rolling. I mean, you can continue here, but I think if I pull it tight, yeah, see, it's still going to want to roll. So I really need just
Poof out.
yeah, one drop. Okay, true confessions. You'll love it. I'd never worked with super glue before, so I got to this point. I have my bobbin up here hanging directly below where I'm going to put the super glue.
Yep.
Just a little drop of super glue. Oh my God. It was like a glacier. And it flowed out, it flowed around. Guess what? It flowed down the thread. And guess what?
Ooh.
The thread's glued tight to the bobbin. Okay. So normally I put the bobbin over there if I'm going to do my super glue trick. But that's about all there is to it. Do you have any questions?
Well, I'd like you to talk to a little bit about how you distribute the Evergreen Hand and
Okay.
the organization.
Well, gosh, doesn't anybody want to know how I'm going to tie the tippet onto this fly
Ooh, that's a good one.
with just one hand? Okay. Watch this. No, don't watch it because you're probably not going to be able to see it. But I just tied the tippet on there, folks. Look at that. I can jerk all over the place, and that thing is not getting loose.
Nice.
I assume some of you have never seen these gateway hooks. We can't get online contact with them. I don't know. I assume they're still in business, but this is what it looks like. If you can see it really close, you may be able to see the reflection on the hook eye.
Hold it right there. Drop it down a little bit toward your bobbin, down by the bobbin.
Oh, down here?
Right there, right there,
Right there. Can
Yeah.
you see it? There's a little gap there.
Mm-hmm.
And the bend back is flared. So that once you get your tippet on, see that flare at the end of the bend
Man.
back so that your line will not come off. And they work really well, particularly in this application where you've got someone that, just flat doesn't have the use of two hands. And then, the nice thing is that you can reopen the loop. This is a sliding knot.
Lasso. Yep.
Let's see, can you see it there?
Mm-hmm.
Is that plainly visible?
No, I can't see it. It's if you bring it so it's opposite
Right there.
the name tag. There, now you can see it right there.
And yeah, see
Change
the
your hook
little
quicker.
tag in there that will slide the loop open, to remove it. And then, of course, just, putting it onto the hook itself will cause it to close. So there it is closed. And then you don't have to retie it. You just simply pull it open like that to change hooks. So it's kind of neat. And particularly for this application, because it takes them beyond the tying and gives them the opportunity to, maybe go out and try to drown this fly. I think that'd be the most appropriate for this one tonight. But
What is that knot called?
it's just a, I don't know. No, that's not the name of it. Just a sliding slip knot is
Yeah.
what Gateway Hooks refers it to as.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got a nice comment from Chuck. He says, don't worry about the goofs. The presentation is better that way because there's going to be a sizable learning curve with new users, and this puts expectations in perspective.
Okay.
Excellent. Thanks, Chuck.
Well,
Learning a new
thank
skill
you.
set with the
I
tool.
have a question for you, Jesse, about how you got the hook in the vise. I saw what you did, and I was wondering. I know that some of our program members and Project Healing Waters have the Regal vices where you squeeze it open, and then you let that go and it closes.
Sorry.
I'm wondering, can you do that with that type of vise where it doesn't?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We cover it. If you go to fishagain.org, there's a 45-minute video that Jim and Kelly Watts, professional photographers, shot for us. Dean Childs and I were there, and I tied, and we went into that.
Okay.
In fact, let me answer that really quick. Assume that this is a Regal vise. Of course, it's going to be, its jaws are going to be way out here, but With a Regal vise, its jaws are always closed, right?
Mhm.
So what I would do is slide the plate out to coincide with the length of the hook and the nose of the vise. Then I would squeeze my Regal vise so the jaws open. And now my one hand is
Yeah.
tied up with the vise with holding the jaws open. But what I can do is reach up. I think this will, if I can get it. Yeah. See, I'm reaching up. See that? In
Okay.
other words, let me do it this way. The
Pre-place
Regal
your-
jaws, I've gripped the lever, the jaws are open. I now bring the vise up to the hook, release the lever on the jaws and grab the hook. Does that answer?
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
I think so. What he's saying is instead of just one motion, you're doing a little one, and then the other one, you're sliding the jaws up to the hook instead of the hook down to the jaws. That's all.
Yeah. With this, it's a little more difficult, but with the Regal, when I had my hand here, I could actually move the Regal left, right, and tilt it up, down with the jaws open, or the jaws. If the jaws look like that, we'd have this
Right.
type of operation, and simply come up and grab the back end of the hook and then close and get it that way.
Makes sense.
Something else that I failed to mention, what do you do for a left-handed tire?
Flip it all around.
No, come on. So we can do this, and I'd have to reconfigure this slightly.
What's the name of the guy that made those Hakko Pliers?
Mike Barnum in Medford, Oregon.
Mike Barnum.
Mike Barnum, yeah.
Universal tool.
Oh, he's got all kinds of stuff.
No, your tool. I'm talking about the Evergreen. That is a handy, even like say, even with two hands, having those magnetic plate with the extra tools, still helpful.
Yeah, see, now we're going left-handed.
Whoop.
See, so now we're
You just
we're
turn
set
it
up
around.
for,
Yeah.
for left-handed. Got to tell you a story. I was at a very small show. Fellow came walking up. His wife was in a wheelchair, and they were talking. They were both experienced fly fishermen, but the wife had a stroke. Her speech was impaired, and her right hand just did not work. And he said, "Would you show my wife how to use this?" I said, "Oh, sure. Sit down, ma'am, and we'll do it." So I'm like this, set up right-handed, and suddenly she reached up and grabbed my right hand and shook her head and said, "Mm-hmm." I said, "I think your mom's calling you." You want me to tie one-handed, left-handed? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so off we went, and I did it. It wasn't pretty, well, it was about like tonight. But
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, the thing ambidextrous, I guess the big guys call it. But yeah, that's all it's about. And we will send them out to you free. We pay the shipping and everything. We live we live on donations totally. And if you get our product and you're dissatisfied with it, I'll tell you what, we'll refund your money. Mike Clancy, I know would love
You might
that.
want to make a mention for people that are one-handed. You have that other jig and tooling for fishing too.
Yeah, You know, that
partner.
has not been a seller, if you will. In other words, very few orders since the first of the year.
Yeah, I have a
I've,
buddy that got one set from you like a month ago.
I'll tell you what, I apologize, because I don't like the design.
No.
It's just not user friendly. In our previous president, I tried to sell him on a new design, but we had so many pieces of PVC pipe cut that he didn't want to, throw them out and start over again. But
Yeah.
the my design, the rod, you can come in from the top of the PVC pipe or the bottom. You slide it up. There's a slot that will accommodate the seat of the reel. And then there's another slot where the reel will rotate and lock itself in. And then in front of the reel, I've cut away about 3/4 of the PVC pipe. And to retain the rod in there, I've used Velcro. In other words, you just Velcro it on, it stays on. When you're casting, you're just putting your hand around the rod cork and about 30% of the arc of the PVC pipe. It continues forward a couple inches in front of the cork, and up there is that little circular device where you can wedge your rod in, wedge your line in, to set up drag.
Yeah.
So the way it works, you'd still wear the strap-on device and the chest plate,
Yeah.
but to cast, you'd simply reach up, take it out, and cast. And then when you got your fly out where you want it, put it back in, and then simply strip. You get a hit, don't lock it off and elevate the rod.
Yep.
So I think, so there's none of this clamp it in, clamp it out type thing. And it's more natural to me in that you do have your fingers around the rod cork, and the total increase in diameter is about 1/4 of an inch. It's the thickness of the PVC pipe. Have I described that to the point where you can envision this?
Yeah, you have it for left and right-handed too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I hate to say it. There's a large airplane manufacturer here in our area.
Boy,
And
yeah.
their engineers got involved in the design of the current device. And in fact, the molding, the additive manufacturing associated with the current device was all courtesy of the large airplane company up the street away.
Boeing.
Yeah, boing.
Boeing. You had a aunt and uncle that worked over 35 years for them. So
Oh, is that right?
yeah.
Yeah, after I retired, I was 30 years in the Air Force. I got tired of flying. You're always off to a war or someplace. Your schedules are not the same. You say, well, dear, I'll be back in 7 days. The bird breaks and it's 2 weeks later. It's not unlike, you guess, 18-wheel drivers, a different motel every night. I got sick and tired of it. So I went back to school and then hired in with Boeing. I was a customer training instructor for 10 years with the Boeing company. I taught the 747-400 and then the 767, which is a really sweet little airplane.
Jessie, I'm going to jump in if I may.
Sure.
I think that we should probably show the slide that gives the contact information and add a little bit of explanation to the application for making the order. It's really a very simple process. And if you go to fishagain.org and simply fill out the order form in a matter of, I'm going to put you on a clock here, Jessie, but I'm guessing it takes you 10 days to 2 weeks at the most to send out the hand to those who need it and for those who want to learn to use it to teach someone else. And again, it's at no cost since we're a nonprofit and we've been able to accumulate sufficient inventory of the parts. We'll get them out to you as quick as we can. And I think that the website tells you a great deal more with some additional videos. And we encourage individuals who have thoughts and ideas that could improve the product to simply let us know about it. Every chance we get, we want to add to the tools that we have available.
Yeah, I was fortunate, and as you can see tonight, making every mistake known to man as I developed this thing. It's kind of funny, but I would certainly encourage anyone that's got a better idea. Let me share with you, I had a horrible time finding this little black tubing that I use on both the Hakko Pliers and on the alligator plant, okay? And I looked everywhere, tried everything. This is, I was at a boat supply company at the marina nearby where I live, and it's called bleeder hose. Now, I don't know what they do with bleeder hose, but I tell you what, it's got a very, very thick wall. It's 1/16 inch diameter and 3/16 outside diameter. So it's a really thick wall. And the longer it sits like this, the flatter it will get. Or you can put it down here and leave it so that now you've got flat surfaces, mating surfaces there. But it clamps really well. And for most things, it's fine. And like I said before, once you get into the heavy duty stuff, Mike Barnum's Hakko Pliers are just great. And I wanted, you know, I'm a Scot or a Celt, so I'm basically cheap and thrifty. And I talked to you about using the round lead in the center of your thread spool to weight your bobbin if you need more constant downward pressure to hold material. But Mike Barnum makes, believe it or not, brass spools, and those babies are heavy. Some of us, I tie with, gosh, I hate to confess this. Don't tell them what happened tonight. But anyway, I tie with the Northwest Atlantic Salmon Fly Guild. And a lot of the guys will use those brass bobbins. I don't know weight-wise, I'll swear they must weigh a pound. But they work really good. But if you want to be thrifty, this little bit of lead slid into your spool will probably give you enough weight, you know, if you're working with, oh boy, elk hair or something like that, you know, trying to hold it down. And hey, let me share one other thing. I tie with kids sometimes, and I take a piece of this really sticky tape and double it around itself so it's a circle, and then just put it down on the table. So when you teach them and they cut off something, bing, it goes onto that tape. Tonight, I just put it on a clear piece of acrylic, but yeah, rather than trash up Rick Davidson's studio, I had it right here, and I pretty well got all the pieces. In fact, I hate to say this, but you know, that probably looks better than the fly I tied.
Oh,
But thanks for joining in. I deeply appreciate it. Fellow sitting next to me, Rick Davidson's retired military, and he's a program lead for Joint Base Lewis McChord up here in northwestern Washington. And he was good enough to devote his studio space to letting me pull this off. And for the most part, he sat here and didn't chuckle very much.
see the one that does the videos for their group?
Yes, yes, he is.
I've watched your videos quite a bit on YouTube.
That's good. That's good.
Yep,
I'm
and
glad
join
somebody's
live.
watching those things.
I've joined your live classes too
Oh, good.
from our Boise group. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, there's a chat here
Awesome.
from John White. Says that we have introduced Tenkara. It works pretty well and may have some applications for one-arm casters. That's
yeah.
interesting because it's a simple rod. There's no reel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
You know,
very interesting thing.
This all started when a group of us got together, and we were, I guess, the second Healing Waters, if you will, operation. We were out here on the West Coast, and Ed Nicholson was working on the East Coast. And I called Ed and he said, "Oh my gosh, we're not ready to expand, but just keep doing what you're doing and we'll get together at some time," which that happened. It was 16 years ago, believe it or not. And it's still going strong thanks to our host tonight, Rick Davidson. But it started, this was a difficult thing. We went down, about 6 of us from 5 different clubs. I kind of cherry picked guys, and knowing that they would go back to their club and talk about it and repopulate our instructor pool. But I was of the thought that, we're going to teach these guys to tie perfect flies. No, these young men were recently wounded. They were off the battlefield. All they wanted was to get their fingers working to the point where they could requalify and go back onto the battlefield or leave the Army. They weren't interested in support work or anything. They wanted to stay on the battlefield. So they had them lacing leather wallets and building model airplanes, which it's okay, I guess. But one of the fellows, the first day we tied, and these were the most horrible looking things. I mean, pink Marabou and elk hair and everything, but it was making their fingers work. There was the therapy. But this one young man, he finished his fly, got a huge smile on his face. He pushed back, looked at the fly and said, "Man, I've just laced my last leather wallet." So that's how I got started. Now then, we've transitioned. Fortunately, we don't have the recently wounded coming off the battlefield. And, strangely enough, our user base is transitioned more to stroke victims. And believe it or not, the cards and letters, the requests are coming not from the husband that needs it, but from the wives. They've seen this stuff and they will email me or call and say, "Is there a chance my husband can get one?" And like I said, it's all nonprofit. We don't charge anything, but yeah, you get an email saying you have changed our lives. And that's, you don't get anything better than that.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's working and it's alive, and it's not the end of the world, but yeah, we enjoy what we're doing and there are rewards.
Get rid of the hour.
Yeah.
We got a comment from John Page. Your tools are ingenious. Your presentation inspirational. Thank you. That's
Oh,
very
golly,
good. Very
That's
good.
good to hear. Gee, I wish my wife was here.
So for the sake of being as clear as we can, the tools that we provide, I'm Jerry Lorang and I'm with OPFI with Jessie.
Let me put this, if you put this on gallery view, Jerry, let me see where you're at.
There I am.
Let me pin you
Okay,
or add a spotlight. There you go. Now both of them are up
great.
there.
Thank you. So the tools that we provide are not limited to veterans. They're for anyone who needs them. They are at no cost. And I know for Jessie's sake and for my own sake, I don't accept someone telling me that they can't tie a fly just because they have some physical limitations. They may not want to tie a fly. That's a different story. But if they have physical limitations and they say they can't tie a fly, I think Jessie has the answer to that question. And we provide it to whoever asks for it for free. And I think, Jessie, it's right to say that we've got about 1,000 of these sets out already.
Yeah.
I'm going to say all over the world, but that's probably an exaggeration. But we certainly have them all over the country. And if we get a request, we turn them around and get them out to you as fast as we can. And we like the feedback when the tools do get sent out. So if you get a set of tools and you have a question or a new idea, we'd like to hear about it.
Well, Jerry, I'm sure you're going to be at the expo in 2023.
Absolutely.
With your table space. And we donate that to OPFI every year.
Very
And
kind of you.
we want you to be there with bells on and keep teaching.
I don't know about the bells, but I'll be there.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a question. I was
Sure.
wondering how much the Evergreen Hand costs you to have manufactured.
It's right about $12.
Okay,
And then shipping one through the post office is $9.45.
okay.
So about $25 to your front door.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure.
Can I ask a real quick question? Where can I find you, the video? I was late to join tonight.
YouTube.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's got a few of them.
And if you want to access our website, it's
There, too.
fishagain.org.
Yeah, and this, I'll publish this, I'll probably get that done over the weekend. So the whole presentation will be on our YouTube channel, which is Central Oregon Fly Tires Guild. You can Google that. And if you want to send me an email, I'll make sure I send you the link directly.
Okay,
Nice.
could I get your email address, please?
Yes, Steel Fly, it's STEELEFLY at msn.com.
Thank you.
And Sherry, we owe you a debt of gratitude for letting us have this evening.
Well, I appreciate you wanting to do this too, because it's the first of its kind. And we like doing, our club likes doing things first and coming up with new ideas. And so that's what our club is all about. And we'll be continuing these Zoom classes. We have 2 more left for this particular sessions. So there's 18 classes this year on Thursday at 5 o'clock. And the link doesn't change. The link you have for our YouTube channel is the same. And the guild meetings like this, the online stuff is also doesn't change. So log in anytime on a Thursday night. We got 2 more classes, and then we'll start again in December and go through the winter, because tying is a winter thing, because when we fish in the summer.
Yep.
So feel free to send me an email if you want to become on our distribution list, and you'll get all my propaganda for our club. So do we have any other questions? Next week is on Thursday is going to be Tom Adams. He's from back east, and he's going to do a knuckle dragger. I don't know what that fly is, but we're gonna tie that fly. And then Jack Gillis is gonna do the final class. And so it's gonna be a good run with all these great presentations this year. And we're gonna keep on going as long as we want to do this. And if I'm on this side of the daisies, I'll continue to do it. And we'll have our website up in a couple months, maybe less.
Awesome.
I have a question that might, I'm sorry to take us back a little bit, but when Tenkara got mentioned, I was thinking like, wow, that really would be something maybe to try for our veteran that has one arm. So I'm wondering, does anyone know of a vendor that works with Project Healing Waters that has Tenkara equipment like that? And we
Yeah,
got-
I believe, are you associated with Project Healing Waters?
Yes, I'm an
Yeah,
assistant
I
lead in
think,
the,
I think you can get them in the program guide. You can get them in
Okay.
the equipment list.
okay.
Program lead can get them.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
And yeah, if you have any other challenges finding that kind of stuff, just reach out. My name is Jerry Larang and I'm at gmail.com. Just put the name in and you'll find me. I'm happy to try and get you an answer if you run into a problem finding it.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you.
Sure.
I just put my email in the chat if somebody, if you need to do that.
Thank you, Sherry, for putting this on. And
Yeah.
Jerry and Jessie, thank you. This is a wonderful creation.
Yeah, and it's the first of its kind. So thank you all for being here because we did this first. It's kind of cool. You take care, everybody, and
Yep,
thank you
thank you so
so
much.
much for joining us from so many different places all over the states. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was a great
you.
presentation.
Very
Thanks,
good.
Kathy.
Good night, Jerry.
Good
Thank
night.
you.